So before I start, I'll just give a plug. I'm in Hampstead a week on Saturday, the 16th of April at the Philadelphia Association in Hampstead at 2 p.m. if any of you could make it. Just turn up.
Yeah, it's quite easy to find. It's on there's a little kind of walkway off Hampstead High Street. It's about 3-minute walk from the tube, something like that.
Yeah. Just walk down the hill.
Yeah.
Chez moi, tranquille, à la plage. Pourquoi? Parce que maintenant, on va voir.
I think it's often misheard that there's nothing that you can do. If there's no me, if there's no self, then there's nothing to be done. That's not what's being said. Anything can be done. There's just no you doing it. There's no one doing anything. There's just doing. And that's the freedom. It's not freedom for me. It's cliched, but it's freedom from me and my demands on what should be done, what I should be doing, what the others should be doing, what the world should be doing. The illusion is the illusion of control. And self obviously fears not being in control. If I wasn't in control, if I'm not in control, then anarchy could ensue, chaos. The arrogance of self is immense, that I am holding this life together, that I'm keeping it all together. I'm keeping myself together and my life together. So you could say that life is doing itself, but there isn't a life doing life, just life as it is. Whatever's happening. And this whatever's happening, these words happening, this speaking happening, and seeming listening, thinking about the words, that's all there is. If that's what's happening. There isn't something else. Other than there could be imagination of what's happening elsewhere, what's happening to them, what she's thinking about, what her feelings are. And it's not that that's not real. Imagination is real imagination. Thoughts are real thoughts. Feelings are real feelings. Actions are real actions. The only thing that's really being communicated at all is that there is no one in control of all that seems to be happening. And of course, that's never going to be popular, because what do I want? I want to be the manager of my life and make my life work. Well, there is no life that works. Life isn't a job. Life isn't a task. There can be the appearance of tasks, but it's not your job. It's not my job to make life work. And there can be immense relief for the human being, relieved of that responsibility. And with that relief for the one who did feel responsible and that weight has been lifted, comes what can feel like forgiveness. There's no one to forgive, but again, paradoxically, like most of this message, when there's no one to forgive, there's no one responsible. There's no one to blame. There can be natural reactions, but no one's doing them. And so no one to forgive feels a lot like forgiveness and compassion. And love. But it's not a love that is normally spoken about, because love means usually I like what someone else is doing. I like that human being. I love them. It's a love without conditions. And it's a love that doesn't need you to like it. So there's only what's happening. You've heard it 1,000 times. And it's too fucking obvious, isn't it, really? That's the problem with there's only what's happening. Everyone goes, yeah, of course there is. But what about what has happened? And what about what will happen? Well, that's not happening, is it? I mean, it's gobsmackingly obvious. What has happened are stories. I have to say, there is only what's happening. That's also a story. In order to know what's happening, to speak about it, then you have to tell a story. There's no way around that. Because we're speaking of the inability of human beings to know what's happening. But there is only what's happening. As soon as you say, the self says, or there is a thought that I know what's happening, you're telling a story. And no story is more accurate, more true, more real than any other. When it's all stories, all the way down. Everything you've learned, everything you feel you understand about life, when it's only stories, it can be terrifying, but there's immense liberation in no one knows more. They just know their story. They tell a story. They think a story. And you can't look to anyone else's story, any other human being's story, as more true, more real, more absolute than anyone else's. Anything we say about life is relative. And so we can only point to the absolute. And the way that most human beings who speak about this as all there is and isn't have to speak in paradoxical terms, have to say one thing and then contradict it. Because if this is all there is, it's not one or the other. It's one and the other. The other, generally, is the emptiness, which of course can't be spoken of at all. We speak of things. And if we speak of nothing, we can only really conceptualize nothing as another thing or as a no thing to objectify. So in that sense, there's utter freedom to speak about this because there's no getting it right. The freedom isn't in freedom from getting it wrong. It's freedom from the impossibility. The freedom is the impossibility of ever getting this right. And life is immeasurably easier when you're not thinking how closely each human being's description of life, how close it fits with mine. And especially in the absence of trying to find human beings who really do know. That's wonderful. That no one could know. In order to know, you would have to know everything. And you would have to know nothing. You would have to know emptiness. You would have to know the void. And there's no knowing of nothing. There's nothing to know. So it doesn't mean there can't be learning. It doesn't mean there can't be new knowledge, seemingly, new understanding, seemingly, new insights. But there's no desire for them, because the desire for them comes from my need to know in order to be safe, in order to move towards the goal that I've set myself, which is godlike knowledge. So it might sound ridiculous that I haven't got a clue what I'm speaking about. But that's what, if anything, that's what enables me to speak about it, or for there to be speaking about it. If I thought I knew the truth and I knew reality, I don't think I could. But if this does become obvious, you won't want to put anyone else on a pedestal. It's complete equality. The genius and the idiot, one is no wiser than the other. You won't be a respecter of wisdom anymore. And I was a great respecter of wisdom. You know, I was always looking to the wise ones for guidance. Well, it could be really, if it is obvious, it's very obvious that they're in this exactly the same boat as every other human being. They're just as fallible, just telling their story. No one is special. And there's, again, wonderful equality in the absence of special ones. It's immensely disappointing for me, because of course, if there aren't any special ones, there's no chance for me to become special. That's why you often hear speakers talk of hopelessness, because it is the end of the dream of specialness. And God, that is a disappointment. I'm not pretending otherwise. It's a massive disappointment. But that's the liberation. Whoever dreamt that disappointment was the path to liberation? Complete disappointment. Okay, so if you'd like to ask a question, then either write it in the chat or just put your hand up. Just click on the button on your on the three dots.
Inez asks in the chat, what about decisions? Is anyone deciding?
No. No, decisions are the same as everything else that's claimed to be mine. Self claims everything that a human being does as mine. Or occasionally, you know, there are occasions. So most selves do know the absence of themselves quite well. They'll go, well, I didn't do that. That wasn't like me. I don't even know how that happened. How did that happen? I didn't do it. The sense of, that's the freedom. But of course, for self takes that as, well, that's scary as shit. I don't even know what happened there. I have no sense that I did that. I didn't decide to do that. It just happened. But like everything else, self says that without me, I would never be able to make a decision because it's me that makes decisions. Well, no, decisions just happen naturally. We don't think dogs have selves, apart from a few owners who have humanized their dog and believe them to be just human beings in dog clothes. But you put two bowls of food out in front of a dog doesn't need a self to decide which one it's going to eat. There's just eating one of them. And I'm no clinical psychologist or a neuroscientist, but there's plenty of evidence that actions happen and then there's a decision afterwards. I decided to do that as a thought that comes after the action has already been initiated, to choose an action.
Eligio has his hand up.
Eligio.
Hello, Tim. Can you hear me
Hello.
okay?
Yeah, good, thanks. How are you?
How do I make you feel right now that I'm going to ask a question?
A little nervous.
You're right. Okay.
Not really at all. No, not there.
I know. Do you know who Mr. Rogers is?
Say again?
Do you know who Mr. Rogers is from America?
Yeah, I do, yeah.
He told me I was special. Did he lie to me?
Yes, he did. Yeah. Well, the thing about specialness is when no one is special, of course, everyone is equally special, aren't they? That's, I mean, the great paradox. But of course, if there are only a few special ones, then of course most human beings, that's how most cells feel. I'm not special. He's special. That's why I adore him and I look up to him. But I'm not. So all I can do is try to become special like him. And the complete absence of the sense that any human beings are special, that equality, you could say, in that everyone is equally special.
Well, I think you're special, and thank you, Clem.
Thanks, yeah. You know, you sarcastic bastard. Ah, dear. The thing is, of course, every human being is special because it's the uniqueness of every human being that's special. You know, that's because so all human beings are absolutely equally human, but every human being is utterly unique.
Right. No, I wasn't being completely sarcastic.
I know.
I just don't want to take up anybody else's time.
No,
with
you're
more serious
fine.
questions.
So,
I just want to say hi.
So no, was it Mr. Rogers?
Mr. Rogers, yeah.
Mr. Rogers was right on the point, wasn't he? Everyone's special.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
I mean, you could say that's why we can speak of this as love, an unconditional love, because of course specialness, as it's normally considered, is utterly conditional. So there are human beings who are special to us, and there are a lot of human beings who we think are disgusting and abhorrent and are really not fit to be alive and not fit to live, because the notion of specialness is so conditional.
Kathy has a hand up.
Yes.
Kathy.
Yes, hi, Tim.
Hi.
I wanted to tell you, I heard that interview with Michael Jeffries.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I laughed and laughed and laughed. It was so funny. Oh my goodness, that was like one of the best interviews I've ever listened to.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, it was great. Big Mac and all. You said you had a relationship, a past affair with the Big Mac. I don't know. And then your mom was on, and your mom, he wanted to ask your mom what you were like as a little boy.
Oh, yeah, he did. Yeah. And Mum said what I was like. Yeah.
Yeah, and she was saying something like, I don't know, you had a big sand pit and you love making sand castles all the time. I was laughing. I said, oh, it was just so cute. It was just so funny. It was really such a great interview. Is your mom still there?
No, Mum died before Christmas.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, because I was thinking, I haven't really listened that much, but every once in a while I would turn on this, something that you had on YouTube, whatever.
Yeah.
And, sometimes she'd, make a comment like something
Yeah,
in the background.
she quite often commented, yeah.
Well, that was really cool of her, to be like that too, at her, as, when I found out how old you are, because it kind of came through that interview, then I said, gee, his mom is up there too. Wow. Not that I mean, it just like, wow, that at her age, she could be so open and.
Oh, she was amazing, yeah. And my mum just got more and more open.
Wow.
Yeah, as she got older.
Geez, because most people go the other way.
Yeah, they do. Yeah,
you get
generally.
closed down more because you've been
Yeah.
exposed to whatever, you close it down.
Of course, she was bombarded with this shit on a daily basis. So, I'm not taking all the credit for her becoming more and more open, but I may have to take some of it.
Poor thing.
Because of course this was just complete. I mean, what's happened to my lovely son, who was quite normal, but she took it, and she took it all in her stride. And in the end, she would just sit in the room next door and listen to while I was doing the meeting. And quite often you could hear her commentary. She would make a comment about what I'd said or what someone else would say. And in the end, she loved it.
Yeah, and maybe it made it easier too.
Yeah, that was lovely for me, I have to say. It was beautiful that Mum was. It was like she didn't have a choice at first and was begrudging, and then by the end she really loved it.
Wow.
And I would finish a meeting and she'd go, "Lovely meeting today. I loved what so and so said," and then she would just, yeah, she loved it.
Yeah. No, I meant too, also like listening to this message, like might have, I don't know, for you, because you're not there, whatever, but could it even ease the transition for her, the transitioning?
What you mean, dying?
Yeah.
No,
What? No?
I wouldn't have said so, no. She didn't. I will say she didn't know anything about dying, because she died on the operating table while she was unconscious and never regained consciousness.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Well, was it different for you? I mean, accepting, now I don't know when you fell away or whatever the word is.
Yeah.
To now have the death of a loved one. Does that somehow? I don't know how to explain.
The death of a loved one is immensely sad. It's very straightforward, really. It's incredibly sad that when you've spent a lot of time with another human being every day, and then they're not there. Of course, it's just natural grief, which is love. One thing that is obvious that was never obvious before is that the things that we were most afraid of, that we said meant something was wrong, like sadness and grief, it's very clear that they're just pure expressions of love. And in a very real way, whatever I had of my mother, other than her physical body appearing and being with her physically, whatever I had of her, which was love, that didn't pass away.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess I was like expecting, like, for instance, for myself, hearing the message, it seems to relieve a little bit of death, of dying.
without a doubt. When everything is unknown, because really the reason self is afraid of death is because it's the great unknown. I mean, we can all agree that we don't know what happens to a human being when they die.
That's right.
But what self can't really come to terms with and can't imagine is the absence of myself.
Yeah.
Well, when that absence is already absent, the fear of death, I mean, it doesn't mean you want to die, but the fear of it, the terror of death, the terror of non-existence is one of the reasons this is worth talking about.
Yeah.
Because it's very clear that death is not somewhere else.
Right.
Death is not waiting in an imagined future. There is only this. So death is ever present. And death and life are not two. This is always born, always dying, always passing away. So when this is always passing away, it's perfectly okay. Death does not, I mean, it's like the Grim Reaper just becomes a jolly clown almost. It's like, yeah, there is a Grim Reaper, but he's nothing to fear.
Yeah. Yeah. That's right. Thanks, Tim. Thanks so much. Thank you.
I mean, when I say death is ever present, it just is. If you look, then there's death where you are.
Mm. And there's no separation, it's life too.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, absolutely. That is the absolute, isn't it? If life and death are not two, well, that's the absolute.
Yeah. Yeah.
And of course, life is immeasurably easier. All the same problems appear. I don't want you to think anyone who speaks about this has a problem-free life. That's not it at all. Problems are exactly the same. They appear from nowhere and disappear. But when they're not mine, there's no comparison between my problems and there just being a seeming problem. Oh yeah, that looks like that needs sorting out.
Mm. Yeah.
But if it's not mine, my responsibility to sort it out, that's the peace that passes all understanding. That's an ease that I could not have imagined for myself.
Yeah.
Because self can't imagine not having responsibilities.
Mm-mm. No. There's always something to do, something to take care of, always.
Yeah, you need doing. But the thing is, I mean, the taking care of is just taken care of. It was never you taking care of it. You know, that's the illusion that without me, there wouldn't be the things that need taking care of wouldn't be taken care of. Again, it's just the arrogance of self. I mean, when selves feel that they're unimportant and insignificant, self will be diagnosed with very low self-esteem, probably leading to depression, self-loathing, self-hatred, self-pity. I mean, all those words with self in the front. Who wouldn't want to get shot of all that shit?
One-step therapy.
Yeah, this is a one-step therapy. Yeah. If it's not therapy at all.
I know.
It's like, you know, I tried to be a therapist, but every time somebody went away feeling better, and I felt, oh yeah, I've done a good job there, it was really obvious that they're very likely to come back next week feeling 10 times worse.
Anita has a hand up.
It's Benita.
Yeah, item.
Hi.
Oh, yeah. In a way, I don't know which way. In a way, but I don't like that word arrogance, but because I think it's also innocence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's all innocence. Even the arrogance is innocent. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. You can never blame a 2-year-old child for seemingly acquiring a sense of self. Who would ever dream of that?
Yeah, and take care.
There is no one to blame for having a sense of self. No, of course not.
No, yes.
It's absolutely innocent, all of it. This leaves you no one to blame at all. I mean, there can be blaming other human beings, but you wouldn't believe it without me, because without me blaming myself, feeling guilty, there can be no possibility of blaming others. This is the end of righteousness.
And wrongchousness.
And wrongchousness. Wrongchousness, lovely word.
Isn't it?
Making up shit, Darren. I made up. Did you see my made up word this week?
Yeah, I did.
Someoneness.
Yeah.
Oh, and then I saw your comment, Darren. You commented because somebody said,
Dan.
what was it?
No, yes.
It was no. What was it?
No, yes. It was Dan. Where's Dan? He's here, I think.
No, yes, which is noise.
If you can spell, yeah, if you put them together, N-O-Y-E-S, noise.
No, yes, that's
like
right. I saw that.
conceptual noise.
That made me laugh.
Yeah.
It's a new word, noise.
Yeah.
N-O-Y.
Yes.
Noise. Yes, so there was a post today, or it was either today or yesterday, and somebody had said that the answer to every non-duality question is yes and no. And so the answer to every question is no, yes. Which is fun, only a non-duality meeting is that in any way funny at all. It's shit, it's a crap joke, and yet in non-duality it's funny. Yeah, no, yes.
isn't that really sort of the essence of non-duality versus duality, is that you don't have the opposites anymore. So no and yes are the same thing. And to explain to someone from a dualistic viewpoint that no and yes are the same thing.
That's it.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, I mean, there again, there's the freedom. The freedom is you can't explain that.
Exactly. Yeah.
You can attempt to point to it by saying yes and no. So every time you get asked a question, you say yes, and then you get asked it, so you're saying yes, and then the next time you're asked it, you just go no. And then the person asking you a question gets really pissed off. So what is it? Is it yes or no?
It isn't that's the whole foundation for judgment. And is it good for me? Yes or no? No, but they can't be the same thing.
Well, is it good for me is a good question for yes and no, because of course everyone knows, is it good for me? There's no knowing, really. Everyone knows that, because all it presumes, the assumption it's gotten as always, if I answer it and think I know the answer is correct, an accurate answer, it's on the presumption that I know what the outcome will be.
Right.
And of course, everyone knows they don't know that. And it's bullshit. And
so they have to pretend they have.
Absolutely. And what we do, what selves do with each other as selves, is it's a constant collusion.
Mm-hmm. Right. I'll pretend you know what you're doing.
Exactly.
You'll pretend.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, I mean, I still play that game all the time in everyday life. Because otherwise, if everyone asked me and I said yes, and then I went and no to everything anyone ever asked me, do you want tea or coffee? Tea and coffee. You know, people will get really pissed off. So I mean, there can still be playing the game of collusion that we do know what the outcome would be. It's very natural. I mean, you don't, again, the whole illusion is that you need a self to do that. You don't at all. It's very natural. I mean, this human being seemingly has had 50 years of conditioning in how to behave socially. You don't believe it. There's no investment in it, is the freedom and the liberation. The liberation is, of course, I am, as me, I was always very heavily invested, especially in what other people thought of me. And that can sound like I don't care what people think of me, and that's not true either. There's still a great preference for people liking me than thinking I'm an asshole. But I know, I don't doubt ever that I'm in control of how others would perceive what's being said or how I come across, or, you know, there's no, the illusion, the bubble is burst that you have any say over how another human being interprets what's happening, including what you've called yourself as a human being, how they see you, whether they like you. I mean, how often have you been shocked that someone liked you when you, for all it was worth, you thought that they really didn't, but actually, when it came to it, and and they told you they thought you were great, and you always thought, I always thought she thought I was a complete ass, and vice versa. There's me thinking she's always fancied me, and yet she thought I was repellent right from the beginning. You know, that kind of thing. Because self is always second guessing, because that's where, you know, that's what we call socially skilled selves are the ones who are pretty skillful at second guessing and get it right quite a lot of the time, seemingly, in the story. But of course, they get it wrong. It is a guess. and all that guessing. I mean, that's a lot of effort doing that.
I always go back to that vision of you telling the story of when you were in the pub and you were telling a friend that he didn't exist, and the next thing you knew, you were.
That was the last time I did that. So I can't say that there's no learning, because I did learn a lesson from that, which is do not mention non-duality in the pub.
What happened?
Unless it's after a non-duality meeting, then you can within. But don't go up to a stranger at the bar and start chatting to him and then say, yeah, but of course you don't exist. Asking for trouble.
Kathy has a hand up.
Kathy.
Go ahead, Kathy. You're muted.
I said that situation was also in that interview where you said somebody in the pub, and you didn't you told somebody they didn't exist, and you know, it was wild. It was funny. But I just want to ask you, you know, this message really, from what, you know, I can gather, it equalizes the playing field, as you said earlier.
Yeah.
There's nobody special. There's no specialness.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a unique. Is there? Unique?
Yeah, absolutely.
See, that kind of throws the thing in. I don't know. It's kind of because unique.
Well, no,
I mean,
because the uniqueness of each human being is claimed as my uniqueness. That's all.
yeah, yeah.
Well, it's not.
So it's claimed. Yeah. So you see, in the uniqueness, you can, you can become really enmeshed in something like that. You know, I'm unique, and look at blah blah blah. You know. I don't know. It's difficult. I heard another speaker say that too, about there's uniqueness, but I don't know that, then I said, well, there's the uniqueness in each flower, each leaf, each snowflake, each fingerprint. So, we're in that realm there.
Well, that's the uniqueness. Every human being is unique. I mean, that's obvious, isn't it?
Oh, yeah,
So,
it's obvious.
Again, paradoxically, every human being is exactly the same.
Okay.
Being human. So here's the paradox, like everything. So the sameness and the uniqueness are not two.
Let me try to get that. The same.
You won't get that. But I mean, I would say you don't have to get it. I think it's obvious. So what we call being human is every human being human. I mean, it's hard to say no. You could say some are monsters, so we say they lack humanity, but they're being human. It's a uniquely horrible being human, you may suggest, but they are being human. That's the same. And then you can extend that to everything. Everything is being what it is. So it's the isness of everything, just being what it is the same. That I think if that hits, for most human beings who have had an awakening experience, that is the sense of it. The sense of, okay, what I've taken to be my uniqueness is just this being, and this being is all there is. This being everything. And that can hit like a smash in the face. And then there's trying to make sense of it. But there is no making sense of it, because the one that tries to make sense of it is the illusory separate one, who can't see it because of the very sense of I'm separate from it. So the absent, I know, I mean, this is all stories. This is all bollocks, by the way. But, for the sake of telling a story, the being is all there is. this being, this is. And this is equally isn't. But you can't know the being because there's just being.
It's just something about the word unique. It's just,
Well,
you know, it's almost like,
I mean,
you know,
Kathy,
God
I mean,
made each person, you know, individual with an individual, you know, there's something, it just doesn't, this person here, it doesn't sit, you know, I like, there's no specialness, everything is equal. But when I get to here.
what don't you like about uniqueness then? What is it you don't like about it?
Well, I mean, you know, from Christianity, you know, you were taught, as you know, my background is Catholicism. You were taught that each one is a unique, even the unique individual soul that, you know, is put here for a unique individual pathway. You know, and the uniqueness, it's just it's a hard kind of word to.
Well, the uniqueness I'm speaking of is very, you could say, is very material. I'm not talking about a uniqueness that's spiritual. I could equally say every dog is unique.
Yeah.
It's the same.
What about every ant?
Now, I don't know, I will say, I don't get close enough to ants to pick up the individuality and uniqueness of ants. If I was hazarding a guess, I'm guessing their uniqueness is a little less obvious than mine and yours.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm going, you know, they all look the same. But you have to realize that, I mean, if aliens did land on Earth and looked at human beings, they would see us as ants probably, and going, they can't see the uniqueness.
They look exactly the same.
I mean, as human beings, we are the window of uniqueness, that we can see the uniqueness of each human being. But so in that sense, you know, we are the only ones who can notice that. Again, just stories. Yeah, just stories. I mean, it is bloody obvious that every human being's unique. I'd be amazed anyone questions that, really. It wasn't that I was questioning it. I was just saying that, you know, it kind of, it had difficulty in the messaging for me, you know. Yeah, I know, because there is that great paradox of the sameness and the uniqueness are not two. Yeah. And you know, I'm not asking you to make sense of that. Yeah. Do you believe 8 billion people in the world each one has different fingerprints? Apparently, yeah. You would have to guess out of 8 billion, there could be 2 the same, wouldn't you? If I was a gambler, I would put a bet on that, because you'd get good odds probably. Eligio says I'm being speciesist and prejudiced towards ants. I'm not. I'm just ignorant of ants, Eligio. It's not prejudice. I don't know much about ants. I will say, as a kid like you, I mean, I spent a lot of time watching ants. I could spend hours watching the ants. It's wonderful. I just wonder. There you go. I'll give you some homework. If you're in a part of the world that is reasonable weather and not too wet, and you can sit outside, go and find some ants, and then just sit down for about an hour and a half and watch the ants. That is your practice for this week. It will bring you nowhere and give you nothing, but you will enjoy watching the ants. The thing about most spiritual paths, because Dave said about elephants here, hasn't he? What's he said? Elephants are potentially more social and emotionally intelligent than humans. Yeah, I wouldn't doubt that for a moment. But the thing is, I'm not an elephant, am I? You know, I can't escape. One of the things about spiritual paths that most have in common is escapism. And one of the big differences with this message is saying that escape is not only is it futile, it's impossible. There is no escaping being human. That's what I want to say more than anything. And really the peace, the love, the ease, the rest is no longer trying to escape. So whatever plans you had, they were escape plans, weren't they? To a better life, where I will feel better about my life. Bollocks. There's nowhere to fucking go. It sounds dreadful, and to me it is dreadful. To self it is dreadful. It demolishes all possibility, all fantasies of dreams, all hopes, annihilated. So this is the harshest, compassionate message you could possibly hear. This isn't an escape from being human. It's not an embrace of being human. It's being fucking stuck with being human. But you're not stuck with it. It's just all there is. You can't be an elephant. You can't be an ant. You can't be a dog. I'm not suggesting for a moment that they were on your list of, you know, of fantasies about what you hoped the future might hold for you. Reincarnation.
Can I be a guru?
I mean, that's what reincarnation is all about, isn't it? A fantasy of a life. It'd be better next time. I've fucked this one up. And the wonder is, you haven't. How about that? I mean, what more could you ask than, no, you haven't. You haven't fucked anything up. Now, I'm not saying that others will agree with you if you suggest you haven't. Others, while they have a very concrete sense of self, will always tell you where you fucked up. Be very happy to tell you. Because they're very happy to tell themselves. I mean, especially the selves who are hard on themselves, they're very keen to tell you where you're going wrong, what you need to improve. You know, why you haven't achieved perfect bliss already. Well, you don't have to tell them to fuck off, but even if you only do it internally, that would be your second practice for this week. First, watching ants. Secondly, every time somebody does anything vaguely like criticism, you can actually shout as a thought, fuck off.
Kathy has a hand. Oh, actually, who was first? I think Kathy.
Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot to take the hand down.
Oh, that's okay. Well, Eligio has his hand up.
Legio.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I was outside. I
Yeah.
couldn't find any ants, but fuck off. Please.
Oh, you silly bastard.
No, but to be serious about it, you are being very gentle with the message.
I am what?
Seemingly, you're being gentle.
Sensible.
You're being sensible.
Yeah,
You are.
I'm very sensible.
He said gentle.
But thank you.
He said gentle.
Oh, gentle.
Yeah.
Gentle.
Well, the thing is, I mean, And I know this sounds really harsh, but it is gentle. It's incredibly, again, it's all paradox. So it's like being smashed with a, with a cricket bat straight in the face, but there's no one to hurt, really. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I mean, there's a great irony. This is a gentle message, really. It sounds dreadfully harsh and uncompromising, which it is.
But what to do when you're harsh on yourself anyway? I can't tell myself all the day, fuck off, fuck off. I can do it, but it brings me nowhere. Yeah. Okay, there's nowhere to go. So yeah.
No.
But I like it.
Oh, thank you. Well, thank you for coming, everybody. Has anyone else got a question? If not, I'm going to stick with, at the moment, doing meetings alternate weeks. So the next one will be Thursday the 21st. Would that be right? Yeah, 21st, yeah. And if any of you could get to London a week on Saturday, that would be brilliant. And you'd be very welcome to come to that.
That's on the website, right? The details?
Yeah, it's all on This Deafening Silence. And thank you if you bought the book, This Deafening Silence. I'm amazed it's still selling. Sold a few. I'm not a millionaire. It's not selling like The Power of Now. I did think of renaming it, rebranding it as The Powerlessness of Now, but it's a little bit, powerlessness is a little bit too, it's got too many S's in, really.
Yeah. I thought they could have a northern version of it called The Power of Nout.
Nout.
The Power of Nout.
Yeah. If you come from Yorkshire, that's what you'd say.
Yeah.
That's quite good.
Yeah.
What does Dave say about elephants quickly before we go? We've had quite a lot of it. An elephant can see feelings from 100 yards. Well, there you go. Yeah. Well, thank you. I've enjoyed it. I do care whether you have enjoyed it or not, but not much. Because of course, the most important thing is that I've enjoyed it, because then I'll do it again. Yes. But yeah, well, but I do appreciate you coming. Otherwise, just talking to myself again.
I got the time wrong again, Tim.
Yeah.
I had 2 o'clock last time and 1 o'clock this time. Is that you flew ahead an hour or something, or behind?
Sorry, say that again.
On the time, I just joined you and I apparently had the wrong time.
Oh, Alice, you've just joined, have you? Right.
Yeah.
Our clocks moved, Alice, an hour forward. Yeah.
Alice, okay. Alice, just for you, off you go. You've got 6 minutes. Just randomly made up.
I'll have to catch you on YouTube, Tim.
Yeah, sure. Is there anything? Is there anything you'd like? Is there anything you'd like to ask me? Yeah, by all means, watch it on YouTube. Yeah.
That's so sweet that you're asking me, but I really nothing comes to.
Oh, it's fine. Yeah. I'll put this on YouTube in an hour or so.
I will ask you something.
Yeah, go on.
I asked a question on another non-duality meeting last night.
Yeah.
And I didn't get a response, and everything was like quiet for like 6 minutes. And I went into thinking that I was stupid for asking that question. And I ended up just leaving. I thought that was pretty unkind. And
Was
so
it? Go on then.
What was that?
I
Tim?
promise I won't be silent. I'll give you a terrible answer, but I won't be silent. Ask me the question.
Oh, I couldn't really repeat it. I don't even remember now what it was. I was so shocked by the response.
Oh, okay.
I got into that.
Wait, Alice, I said you were clear. I said we understood it. I was there.
I didn't hear you say that, Kurt.
Oh, maybe I was muted or something.
I didn't hear you say that. Yeah, Kurt was there.
Would you like to ask me the question? You don't know what it is.
Kurt, would you like to say it? You repeat the question?
It was something about it was all about this, and it was a this question, but it was kind of difficult to understand what you were asking about this, although you should be an expert on this at this point.
That's what's so embarrassing. I do these sessions with Nkosi every week, and people think I should be an expert, but I'm not.
Well, the thing, well, that's a really good point, Alice. We could finish on that point. There are no fucking experts in this.
Yeah.
I mean, there you have that right there. That's all you need to know.
Yes. Thank you. And I didn't ask the stupid
question. There's no experts at all.
Thank you, Tim.
How can one human being know more about what it is to be a human being than another human being? Think about it. It's bullshit. It's absolute bullshit. You don't need to know anything to be. You simply don't. You sound cleverer, but you're not being more human, are you? Really? You know, yeah. So there is only this being human for human beings. And by having a lot of knowledge of non-duality or anything else for that matter, doesn't make you more human. And that's all there is for human beings. It's a bit like saying with elephants, the ones who trumpet loudest or who have the sweetest trumpet. I'm saying trumpet as though that's what elephants do. I don't know. Is that what you call the noise an elephant makes? But one is more a more special elephant. One is a more gifted elephant, wiser elephant. So really, this whole message is that there's no escape. There's nowhere to run. There's nowhere to hide.
I feel a song coming up.
Nowhere to get. Right. Thing is, I start with lyrics, and then Darren gets his guitar out. Lovely to see you all. Thanks for coming, everybody.
Thank you, Tim.
Thanks, Tim.
Thank you, Tim.
Thanks, Darren.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Tim.
Yeah, all the best.
Thank
you, Kim. Thank you, Darren.
Thank you.
Thanks, there.
Bye, Kurt.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.